Hey internet friends, you guys wanted it, so you're gonna get it. Today is the brisket video. Woo! Yeah, it's gonna be delicious and barbecuey and amazing. Screenshot the shot just like every other video and let's get started. First thing we're gonna do is the dry rub. Add your garlic powder. Now you wanna add your salt, lots of salt, some freshly ground black pepper, some chili powder, some smoked paprika, some beautiful white pepper, a dash of cayenne for some spice, add some oregano for a little bit of zest, a little bit of mesquite seasoning for some smoke, and some brown sugar to make everything kind of sweet. Now you want to go ahead and grab your favorite mixing utensil. In my case, I'm not using a spatula, I'm using a whisk, and you want to make sure everything is all mixed together perfectly. Also, if you notice, I didn't give any measurements for how much stuff you need for this dry rub because it all depends on how much brisket you have and what your tastes are and all that. So you can just kind of experiment and figure out what you like. This is just a general idea of what a dry rub should be. And now we come to the all-American beef brisket. It's beefy, it's big, it's meaty, it's everything that's good about America. My brisket was a little bit too fatty for my taste. This is entirely optional. You could trim the fat off if you like. Some people are going to chastise me on the internet for trimming the fat off, and that's perfectly okay. They're allowed to have their opinion. Sometimes the fat is a little bit too much for me, so I trim. It's totally fine if you don't want to, or if you want to. This is America. This is a brisket. You could do whatever you want to it. So as you could see, I trimmed off some of my fat. I didn't take all the fat off, just a little bit of it. You know, just those big giant chunks. But, you know, do you, boo-boo. This is America. Now that your brisket is all beautiful and fat-free-ish, we can take the dry rub and rub it down. It needs a really good rub down. You want to just go ahead and make sure every square inch of your beautiful all-American beef brisket is just covered with this dry rub. Just kind of rub it all over. Make sure every inch, every crevice is covered. And then you want to let this sit at room temperature for at least an hour, up to 3 hours. You want to get the brisket at room temperature before you start cooking it. And while your brisket is getting settled at room temperature, you can go ahead and get a large mixing bowl and go ahead and crush up like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 cloves of garlic. I like garlic a lot. You might not like garlic a lot, but throw it in a bowl after you crush it. Use a knife to crush it, and then throw in a nice delicious beer. I use Daisy Cutter. They're not a sponsor. And then a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and some liquid smoke, and throw in your bouillon cubes. This will actually create like a beef stock out of this beer mixture that you just made. And now that your brisket is at room temperature, you want to throw it into a disposable foil pan, and you want to take your beer mixture and dump it straight on top, and then get your cloves to do whatever you want them to do. I put 3 on top, just, you know, for aesthetics. And then you want to get some tin foil, and you want to wrap the whole thing up in tin foil as tight as you can, and you want to poke a few holes in just for good measure. Now, you want to get your heating method for your grill exactly right. I'm not using charcoal for this video. I'm using propane because for some reason you guys like propane better than charcoal. I will be doing another brisket video in the future where I'll smoke it entirely, and I'll do a charcoal one. But this one, the propane is very simple. As you can see, the burner all the way to the right, I didn't turn on at all. And so that's where the brisket's going to go. So there's no direct heat on the brisket. And the other 2 burners, I kind of turned and messed with the temperature so that the internal grill was about 325 to 350 degrees. And I left it on that for about 3 hours. And now that your brisket's on the grill, go ahead and grab your favorite Blackhawks mug because hockey's back and you're so happy about that. And chug a great, delicious red ale out of it. And remember, hockey's back. So, you know, watch hockey after you watch this video. After about 3 hours and your brisket's internal temperature is about 195, your brisket should be done and tender and delicious. Now before you cut this bad boy, you want to make sure you let it sit and settle for about 20 minutes before you cut it. And now for the most satisfying thing I've ever done on this show. Let's start cutting this bad boy. Oh, that's so glorious. Let's pause for a second to zoom in. And then let's go ahead and just cut this bad boy up entirely. Look at this glorious. It's just breaking off. It's so good. It's so delicious. It looks, oh, it's perfect. It's so tender. I don't even need a sharp knife. It's cutting like butter. It's just amazing. Those little pieces. You can see I keep stealing a couple little pieces and testing. Oh, it's so good. Follow me on the Instagram for more beautiful pictures like this. And now let's try this bad boy. Alright guys, let's see how this came out. See, it's got like this big fat caps and this crust on top of it. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Let's pull apart easy. Pull apart. The bark is really good. It's got like a beer barbecue flavor. That's so good. And then the meat itself is so tender. You can literally cut it with a spoon. And so it's salty and mushy and delicious and perfect in all the right ways. If you take some barbecue sauce from the ribs video, put this on a sandwich with that barbecue sauce, would be so good. Oh, it's so good. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Gee, wasn't that delicious? Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. I'm sure some of the videos will be around here somewhere. And don't forget to hit that bell button. Cheers.